There are less than 4 hours to go until the Trump Justice Department submits its arguments in defense of the temporary travel ban to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in San Francisco. The White House says it fully expects the courts to restore the president's executive order stopping refugees and travelers from these 7 Muslim-majority nations that are known to be hotbeds for terrorism and have absolutely no ability to control who is in or out of their countries. The White House points to the Immigration and National Act. This is from 1952, saying it gives the president the power to do this, and I'm quoting right here from the law. Whenever the president finds that the entry of any aliens or any class of aliens into the United States would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he may, by proclamation and for such period as he shall deem necessary, suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens as immigrants or non-immigrants, or impose on the entry of aliens any restrictions he may deem to be appropriate. So there you go. Not to mention Article 2 of the Constitution. Vice President Pence has been quick to cite the executive power and the authority of the president. Here he is. Watch.
We don't appoint judges to our district courts to conduct foreign policy or to make decisions about our national security. Under statutory law and under the Constitution, that authority belongs to the President of the United States. We're going to move very quickly into the merits of this argument. And as the president said, we're going to win this argument.
This fight all comes after a ruling on Friday by a federal judge in Seattle putting a temporary hold on the ban nationwide. A ruling President Trump has called ridiculous. In fact, he tweeted out, "Just cannot believe a judge would put our country in such peril. If something happens, blame him and court system. People pouring in, bad!" exclamation point. And he also tweeted, "I have instructed Homeland Security to check people coming into the country very carefully. The courts are making their job very difficult." Well, the circuit court is likely to rule any day now. Many are predicting, no matter the outcome, this thing is heading straight to the Supreme Court. Joining me right now with a look at what is next, Hans von Spakovsky from the Heritage Foundation. Hans, good to have you here. First of all, do you think that President Trump is going to win this one?
Well, if the courts follow the law, he will win it. What you have really is a renegade federal judge in Washington. Contrast what he did with a federal court in Boston over the weekend who refused to issue an injunction precisely because of that provision that you cited that gives the president virtually unlimited discretion to suspend the entry of aliens.
Do you think Judge Robart is doing this for political purposes or perhaps purposes that are very much in sort of his intellectual sense of self and what he thinks is right or wrong as opposed to just upholding the law?
Oh, I think that's exactly what's going on. Look, he obviously thinks from a public policy standpoint, he doesn't like this. That is no reason for a federal judge to stop it from happening. The only way he can stop it from happening is if what the president violated the law. But the law here, this isn't a gray area. It's black and white. The statute is crystal clear. And besides, look, there are Supreme Court decisions that say the zenith of the government's power is at the border.
So now it goes to the Ninth Circuit. They want to hear arguments from the White House. The White House is scrambling right now to continue putting all those together. They just have about 3 hours and change to go. What happens from there, Hans?
Well, unfortunately, the Ninth Circuit, you may know, is the most overturned appellate court in the United States. And that's because they also often don't follow the law. If they go the wrong way on this, then I'm sure an emergency appeal will go up to the U.S. Supreme Court. There we might get a 4-4 split because on immigration issues, we've seen before in other immigration cases that the 4 liberal justices also, unfortunately, use their public policy views to dictate what they do in the courts.
One of the reasons they're saying that this cannot stand is because it's discriminatory. Now, that's not actually what the judge in Washington, Judge Robart, got into. He actually said that this shouldn't stand based on economic reasons. But much of what we've heard and the concern amongst many members of the left is that this is somehow discriminatory. And they keep going back to a 1965 act that says, look, you cannot discriminate based on religion. The president would say, and the White House would say, this has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with nationality per se, and thus is not prejudice in any way. It has everything, however, to do with security. Are they going to run into challenges as they try and make that argument? Where are the pitfalls there, if any?
That is a bogus argument being made by the challengers for this reason. Look, there are almost 50 countries in the world that are majority Muslim. All of the individuals from those countries can come here with the exception of these 7 countries. And the reason they were picked had nothing to do with their religion. It had everything to do with the fact that they are the largest sources of terrorists in the world. Many of them are failed and failing countries, which makes it very difficult to vet anyone coming in. Yeah,
and look, Obama's own administration kept saying over and over again that we can't possibly vet these refugees, and we have seen what has happened in Europe as a result of people traveling to places like Syria, one of those countries on the list. Anyway, a real, quite a constitutional crisis, if you would, the whole idea that this judge is forcing it all the way up to the Supreme Court. Rather amazing to watch. Hans, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here today.